you couldn't appeal it on something that you found later, okay? So that being said, that's it, that's all I have to say.
Madam Recorder?
Okay, so again, with that additional clarification, does anyone want to hold the record, ask to hold the record open to submit additional evidence? I'm not seeing any, so you can declare the hearing is closed, and the council will now enter into deliberations toward making a decision.
Do we have to do that in executive session?
Not at all, no, public.
Right, then, the hearing is closed, and we'll render a decision. Is that done by oral vote?
Yes, so at this point, the council, you can discuss, deliberate the evidence you've heard, the evidence you've read, discuss the criteria, and if you're ready to make a motion, I would turn to that second, actually third page of the staff report. Your choices really are that if you find the business license application fails to meet our criteria, ordinance 302, ordinance 243, and the zoning code section for commercial retail, then you would move to concur with the appeal and deny that business license application. If you find that the application indeed satisfies these criteria, then you would move to uphold the determination to grant the business license and direct staff to issue the business license, and then we can talk about preparing findings. If I might, just for a minute, your decision will be verbal tonight by motion.
All right.
Your decision will need to be reduced to writing. That's called findings, conclusions, and final order. So after you've made your motion, whichever way you go, you would direct staff to ultimately reduce your decision to writings. In other words, prepare that findings, conclusion, and final order for the mayor's signature. You can ask for that to be drafted up to be brought back to you at your next meeting, or depending on how it goes and how comfortable you are with your verbal decision, that you can authorize the mayor to sign it upon it being written. From the date of that signing of that final order starts another 14-day appeal period. The appeal now, the council decision of anyone wanting to appeal your decision will go to the state, the Land Use Board of Appeals. So it's critical to consider when you start deliberating and decide what your action will be. Think a moment about, after you've made your decision, how you want to proceed with that final order. So we can talk about that a little bit more, but I just wanted to mention that. Go ahead and do it.
So now we're in order to call for a motion.
And if you're ready, unless there's more discussion.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
No, I would like to deliberate just a little bit.
Let's discuss.
Yes,
Mr. Mayor, I move that we continue with the approval of the City of Depot Bay business license for Black and Yellow LLC with discussion to ensue.
I second it.
motion's been made and seconded. Discussion, please. Yes.
I've been quiet the whole time because I listened quite a bit. We've heard arguments for and against marijuana, medical marijuana. It's been around since the Native Americans. And it might be okay for some people, it's not okay for others. I can tell you this, on a personal level, it doesn't come anywhere near me. That's neither here nor there. That's a personal issue. That's my decision. We have laws now. There's a law in the state books that says we will do this. We have a business license that has met the standards, has met the requirements for the business license in the City of Depoe Bay. I see this as even a legal liability if we were to deny this business license. We
accept that the business license applicant could appeal our decision to LUBA, and they would decide on the law. Okay. And that being said, I will say that I think that we're not seeing the end of the regulations that are going to come down regarding dispensaries, recreation/medical. Since the recreation has come into being, because of what it's the regulation is been given over to the OLCC to formulate laws, and I expect just as now that we have limited sales of liquor within inside the city limits. In other words, I don't know if the OLCC would grant another liquor store inside the city limits of Depoe Bay. Okay, so we may or may not, depending upon how rules came down from the state, be looking at the single dispensary that we have if granted this business license here in Depoe Bay. So it's, and what I'm hearing from the appellants that came today is what they're worried about is the visibility and the proliferation of a previously controlled, still is controlled substance, but that it could affect our youth. And I share their concerns. However, I think the whole the board, the city councilor shares those concerns. Not to speak for everybody, but I think that these people hear you there, and the people have spoken in these laws, and it looks to me like the applicant has met all the city ordinances to be granted license.
Thank you. Mrs. Sparks? Councilman Sparks, sorry.
Thank you. I think the legal aspect of this has been covered quite clearly for me. Where I come from is that I'm a 69-year-old baby boomer, and I'm a trauma survivor. I have gone through a lot in terms of healing for many, many years. Tried different kinds of medications, prescription drugs, alcohol, which I don't drink anymore. And I get a sense of relief when I find out that maybe there's something else out there that I can get legally that will continue to help me with my own lifelong healing of my experience with trauma way back when I was a child. It's a lifelong disease, and prescription drugs aren't very effective. So I think of it in terms of health and wellness. I also think about it in terms of safety, and I can tell you that I can get pretty emotional about being a trauma survivor and trying to find ways to mitigate that problem that's with you every day, 24/7. And there are a lot of people out there who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, including veterans, folks who have survived, single survivors of accidents, and rape victims. And we have those kind of folks in our community who right now are in the shadows and might have to go to the black market and experiment, and they may wind up killing themselves by experimenting with different drugs, including marijuana. So I come at it, legal or not, I come at it from a health and wellness standpoint. Thank you.
Councilman?
I'll chime in a little bit on Mr. Grant's comments, and I'll get past that real quick. If you look at what we're supposed to do here, the arguments don't match or raise to the level of an objection that we as a city council, at least in my small opinion, can do. However, I know Mr. and Mrs. Gillian are sitting right here, and they have heard a lot of what people have said. My sense is you probably have seen some of these letters, and if you haven't, maybe we should make sure that you have them, okay? It's important because tonight we had a petition. Ms. Cornelius, how many people are on that petition?
I believe there's 30,
30.
and that was just through one afternoon. He didn't reach it.
Fair enough. We had a meeting here, a regular city council meeting concerning the recreational marijuana, and I believe we got petitions with 110 names on it saying, and again, this is recreational, that it would be okay to move forward with this. But going back to the written testimony, the oral testimony, I feel pretty confident that Mr. and Ms. Gillian are local people. They aren't here to promote a Sodom and Gomorrah atmosphere. I'll use what you said earlier. I will say this also, that this is not a done deal. I mean, they're taking a risk financially to do this, and that's part of business and part of what makes America great. But in November of 2016, this town could, by petition, raise it to a level, to a vote of the populace. And so they're not without peril in this, and perhaps, and I'm not advocating this, but perhaps this is an avenue that some citizens might go after. Whatever happens, democracy rules. And I just wanted to say that, that's all I have to say, Mr. Mayor.
Very well put, thank you. Tom?
So I share a lot of the concerns that I've heard from people, law enforcement. I have a young son that I'm raising in this city. So some of my concerns from the letters that I've read have been, people are worried about the increased crime rate, burglaries in and around a dispensary or a recreational marijuana store. So I reached out to a Lincoln City police officer, a senior officer, I believe, of 20 years. As it's been pointed out, I didn't realize there was 10 medical marijuana stores in Lincoln City. But I reached out to him and asked him today, in fact, with the implementation of medical marijuana stores within the city of Lincoln City, if him and his police department has seen an increase in crime, burglaries, riffraff, if you will, in and around the establishments. And his response was absolutely not. He said that they did have a burglary at one of the medical marijuana stores, but that's no different than any other business getting burglarized within the city limits of Lincoln City. So I wanted to share his feedback, who's out on the streets, on the beat, day in and day out, that his concern as a police officer was not medical marijuana or recreational marijuana. He identified some other pretty serious drugs that were of concern, and mentioned Depoe Bay was a key hub for that. So I think we have bigger fish to fry than the medical marijuana coming from him. That's all I have for that.
Thank you. Robert, anything else? Joel? And pretty much in conclusion of what we've already gone through, I think that wisdom that came from our governor's office was profound. And before this is all settled and put away and people are more or less happy or unhappy with it, or whatever their persuasion is, there's going to be a lot of things happen between now and that time. So, call the question, please.
Point of order, could you please read back what we're voting on?
What I have for the wording of the motion, and I'll ask Emma to help me, is to move to continue with the approval of the business license to Black and Yellow LLC. That's all I got. That's what we got.
Thank you. Yeah, but, thank you.
Call, please.
Team?
I just want to make sure I'm clear. Yes vote is to continue to allow the business license.
On this,
No.
go ahead. On this motion, a yes vote would deny the appeal and would uphold the determination to grant the license. In other words, we would be issuing a business license. That's what a yes vote on this motion would do.
Thank you. Yes.
Sparks?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Mathela?
Yes.
Gambino?
Yes.
Grant?
Right.
So if I may, now ask the council. So you've made a decision, made your decision on this matter. It's a verbal decision. So reducing it to writing, I'm gonna go over this again. It's called the findings, conclusions, and final order. And what the document says, it kind of recaps what the issue was, who the applicants are, who the appellants were, and then it puts in writing what your decision was. That's called the final order. From the time that the mayor signs that final order, starts a clock, a 14-day appeal period. So my question to you tonight is, there's two ways to approach it. If you feel comfortable with your motion, and knowing that by motion, you are upholding the determination to grant the license will be granted. You can authorize the mayor to sign it tomorrow. Or if you'd rather, we can draft that up, so your next meeting is October 6th. We would bring that written form of your decision to you for you to adopt at that meeting.
But then there's a 14-day period
The
after that.
date from that signing is another 14-day appeal period, and the appeal would go, the appeal would be on your decision and would go to the state level. So it starts that clock too. That's why I'm asking,
You want a motion, is that correct?
please.
Well, would it be a motion just to move forward and have the mayor sign the document tomorrow morning?
Yes,
Yes.
if that's.
That's my motion.
And I'll second that.
Call.
Discussion.
I'm sorry.
And then me.
Further on matters of appeal, would it, if the, would there be any more strength in the decision of the council to outline basically our methodology on why we denied the appeal or upheld the,
No, if there is no.
or on the offers, upheld the application?
That is not typically wording that's put in the final order document. The final order will say that the council finds that the appellant failed to provide evidence that there was.
That's the way it's going to read?
Well, no, but, I mean, the methodology of how you arrive at your decision is typically not in that document, but if an appeal is filed, all of this is the record that will be submitted to LUBA. So as far as identifying the methodology, that would come up. However, short answer to your question, if you would feel more comfortable with directing staff to, and please provide the verbiage, to put specific wording in the final order that identifies your methodology, please do so. Or, like I say, we have a motion right now that would authorize, if the motion passes, would authorize the mayor to sign it tomorrow and start that appeal period.
Real quick, we do have this all on video, I understand. So that's a pretty good record, is it not?
Well, with LUBA appeals, you submit written records, you submit audio records, we now have video, that would be something new. But all of that goes to the board.
So call the question.
be clear. A yes is what?
Okay, on this, a yes on this vote motion would authorize staff to draft up your decision in written form, and the mayor will sign it tomorrow.
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Mathala,
Yes.
Gambino,
Yes.
Grant,
Okay.
Team,
Yes.
we will do that.
Hey, Joe Fisher Brown now join us.
Right,
Yes.
and, Councilor Brown, would you like to rejoin us?
Yes, I would.
You're looking awful lonesome over there.
I was afraid of something, but thank you.
Moving on to item 3, the bid award, sanitary sewer connection repair.
Yeah, this is the trenchless pipe repairs that TPR has done work this year. They had some trouble on the creek area. We had to put it out for bid again. They couldn't access the area for one, in the time frame they had, because they have to hike down into it. It's behind, it's upstream from the community hall and behind the storage center. And when they did get in there with the equipment, they found out that there was 2 other repairs, unbeknownst to them, that wasn't done correctly. So we ended up assessing the situation, doing some video, and coming up with a repair plan, and then they gave us a bid on this, and this is what this proposal is. And then also, video work was done down parallel with the boat ramp. It's 251 feet, which is Lower Shell Avenue. 251 feet of cracked and displaced sewer main.
That's pressure down there, isn't it? And
No,
that's past the pump?
It's
or-
fall sewer.
It's still false sewer.
Yeah. And what they're gonna do is slip line that. It's a pipe inside a pipe, it's epoxy, they run a ball through, it seals it, and then it's a heat treat.
Is that the one that goes up the hill from the pump station?
No, it actually runs from the fish plant all the way to the condos,
All the way to the
or
west?
to the condominium, Mariner condominiums. Right down here, just down the hill on the left.
But that's
From there
under,
all the way to the fish plant.
that's under pressure?
No.
Oh,
This
that's
is
a fall
falls-
line.
This is
Oh,
a
okay.
fall line.
I
It
got
falls
it.
from
I got it.
down the hill, from the fish plant down, and then.
I got it.
But it is cracked because of the pressure, and down there's a lot of movement down there, I guess, over the years, and it caused it to crack.
Uh-huh.
So that's what this bid is. It was out for 2 weeks in the paper, and these guys are really good, and they're fishing, and it beats the heck out of excavating.
Council Sparks?
I assume, and maybe it's wrong to assume, but the funding for this would come out of reserves.
It's in, it was budgeted in for.
This was already budgeted?
Yeah, the sewer, sanitary sewer repairs were budgeted in.
So this is budgeted, or it comes from,
It comes from
it's already in the budget, so this was anticipated.
Yes, yes. For so much work each year, we have to do so much in the.
I get it.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Brown?
I was just wondering, in your opinion, Brady, do you believe that this amount is commensurate with, the job that's necessary? This is a pretty good amount.
Yeah, it's pretty important, and it will cut down the I&I. If that line is completely fractured through the whole way, a lot of rainwater gets in there, especially down in the harbor, even some tide effects, but we get a whole lot of I&I down there, and that's one of the main reasons we want to get a grip on this. And, but yeah, if we were to excavate this, replace the pipe, it would probably be 3 times that price. So it's actually better to just slip line these than non-excavate, it's in and out. They come in for a few days and take care of all these, problems. There's 2 up the creek. They have to actually hike in equipment below the storage center, so that one's gonna be a little tricky, but those are smaller repairs, 3 to 5 feet. in different sections, but they have to cut out a lot of the old stuff that wasn't done right. So that's unfortunate, but
Council,
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the bid from TPR for $25,060 for this
Second.
repair.
Councilor Grant?
Yeah, did we get any other bids in response to our RFP?
no, it's kind of a rare contracting, that companies actually do this, on, trenchless, work. So maybe one or two in Oregon and maybe 3 or 4 in Washington, and, no one bid on it, was probably put out.
Did we, where do we typically post the RFPs? That these other companies might be able to see them? Are they
Yeah,
available?
yeah, they're available on our website and in the papers, and I sent some out, but the other company that used to do this is located in Tillamook, and they actually sold their equipment to TPR, so they actually took over.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor?
Just to clarify, Jerome's question, would this come under the category of a single source decision criteria? That's the kind of thing that I would, that I've experienced in my time, is that whenever a decision like this is made without an RFP, it's typically a single source kind of decision.
Yeah, they're like, some of the work that we do with our SCADA system is done through TAG, and this, in fact, TAG is the only, kind of show in town.
Thank you.
We went ahead and did the TRP bid out, so I was abiding by the goods and services rules,
Thank you.
so.
Just for the record, I've witnessed these people at work, and what they do saves so much money rather than digging up an entire street and replacing a pipe. They just run an insert in it, it's really slick, and it's permanent. And the pipe's actually a little smaller than the original one, but it's 10 times stronger, and
Better see
it'll
that.
be there when we're gone, I'll guarantee you. So, another call, please.
Olson,
Yes.
Matla,
Yes.
Gambino,
Yes.
Grant,
Aye.
Team,
Yes.
Fisher Brown,
Yes.
Sparks.
Yes.
That's probably all the, unless there's an emergency, but that's probably all the collection work that we're gonna do this year is probably this. Because once the rains start, we really taper off on doing, we kind of spinning the wheels in the rain, so. But we'll do some more TV work and get ready for next budget, because we got church, DEQ mandates that we do something to address I&I every year. So we're doing our part, for sure.
All right, Brady and the city lands park project.
Yeah, again, this was out on an RFP, in the newspapers and city website. And it made it on some other, because I've been getting a lot of questions for people posting it on, construction, corporation.
I think what happens, is you have, I can't remember what they're called, but they're actually agencies that, wording's escaping me. They're a clearinghouse for contractors when there's an advertisement for bids for a construction contract. And Brady's been getting contacted, so they either read our advertisement in the newspaper and contact us, or they're visiting our city website and they're seeing, oh, City of Depoe Bay is advertising for construction.
Yeah.
And then they directly contact Brady and ask, send us the plans and specs, and, then it's a place where contractors can go and review, so it really is a nice system anymore.
Yeah.
Very helpful to us.
Construction market data is this company, and they request, the bid results and, information.
Sometimes they're from like Ohio, so you think, how helpful is it? But,
So, back to the proposal, we were thinking, between Larry, Terry, and myself, we're thinking it would come in around 16.5 was our guesstimate, and, the price actually came in by one contractor, Quake, at 12,711, to do the scenic land project, and it's, doing the, concrete work, stairs, railing, to ADA, and all the carpentry and concrete work.
Randy, how much do you estimate the landscaping and the trail that goes down to that bridge is gonna take?
What we thought we would do is get a contractor, it's probably a half a day's work with a contractor, grooming the trail and taking the brush out. We could either they're gonna have one contractor with them, we could either do a time and material through the contractor that's gonna be there already, or we could hire the local contractors that we normally use. We have a list of local contractors to, if they have time and the time frame's right, because we need to get this done in a hurry because of the grant deadline and the promise that we made to the folks at the Wales Rendezvous. We weren't gonna start till October 1st. So this actually, if we could use the contractor as a time and material, it'd be great. And he would just groom the trail below while he's doing the top part. And then the bottom would be done for the city, getting the brush out.
Yes, sir.
So what do you think would cover that if we wanted to make a motion so that we would be all inclusive to the one contract?
Right, well, say if you go, so $90 an hour is Dan Price, you get him and his equipment, mini excavator, for example, we use Dan a lot, he's so efficient. $90 an hour, I would say at the most a day, but it would be a 4-hour job for him. So, I would reckon to say probably less than $500 just for that. He's already mowed half of it down with the fill mower and he was there for 10 minutes. So, just as an example, not saying that we would use Price, but James Drayton is going to be the contractor working for Quay. So probably around the same, maybe a little more or less. I would say no more than $800 at the most.
Do we need a motion on that, Curry, or can we just have, make an approval?
Well, a motion to at least accept or not, the Quaid bid to do the part of the project that does exclude landscaping. So do you want to accept this proposal or not?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the bid proposal from Quaid Commercial Construction Corporation for the Depoe Bay City Lands Park project.
I'll second.
One question, to be clear, this was did we get more than one bid then?
No, this was the new bid that came in. I put out a lot of the scope of work to other contractors, but they did some of it. I can make my own judgment on the people. I'll be real frugal and make sure it's a good price to do the landscape trails.
Call the question, please.
Matlock,
Yes.
Gambino,
Yes.
Grant,
Right.
Team,
Yes.
Fisher Brown,
Yes.
Sparks,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
We'll let you know.
Is that it for you, Brady? Curry, did you have anything?
I don't, but I do want to say thank you for letting us bring this meeting was specific for the public hearing, so thank you for considering these other two proposals, so we can move forward. Appreciate that. And Brady's ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, we want to get the one project done for the time frame. It's a scenic part.
Appreciate it.
Any comments?
We do normally on a regular meeting, but if you have comments, go ahead.
Just the usual. I would like to thank each and every one of you for showing up here, both pro and con. This is what we need to hear. So we appreciate it.
It's 8:37, and we are adjourned.